Welcome to the Digital Edge with Sharon Nelson and Jim Calloway. Your hosts, both legal technologists, authors, and lecturers, invite industry professionals to discuss a new topic related to lawyers and technology. You're listening to Legal Talk Network.
Welcome to the 145th edition of the Digital Edge Lawyers and Technology. We're glad to have you with us. I'm Sharon Nelson, president of Sensei Enterprises, an information technology, cybersecurity, and digital forensics firm in Fairfax, Virginia.
And I'm Jim Calloway, director of the Oklahoma Bar Association's Management Assistance Program. Today, our topic is Law in the Age of the Consumer. It's the model that matters.
Before we get started, we'd like to thank our sponsors. Thanks to our sponsor, Clio. Clio's cloud-based practice management software makes it easy to manage your law firm from intake to invoice. Try it for free at Clio.com. That's CLIO.com. Thank you to Nexa, formerly known as Answer One. Nexa is a leading virtual receptionist and answering service provider for law firms. Learn more by giving them a call at 800-267-9371 or visit them online at nexa.com.
Thanks to Scorpion. Scorpion sets the standard for law firm online marketing with proven campaign strategies to get attorneys better cases from the internet. Partner with Scorpion to get an award-winning website and ROI-positive marketing programs today. Visit scorpionlegal.com/podcast. Thanks to ServeNow, a nationwide network of trusted pre-screened process servers. Work with the most professional process servers who have experience with high-volume serves, embrace technology, and understand the litigation process. Visit servenow.com to learn more. We are very pleased to have as our guest Erin Levine, who is a certified family law specialist and the owner and managing attorney of Levine Family Law Group based in Oakland, California. She is also the founder and CEO of Hello Divorce, a modern breakup service offering legal consumers on-demand legal help and wellness support. Thanks for joining us today, Erin.
I'm pleased to be here. I love your podcast and I love the energy that both of you bring to it. So it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, we're glad to be together with you today. And Erin, let's start with trying to figure out what led you to found Hello Divorce. Were there problems that you saw in the traditional family law practices that you wanted to address and improve upon maybe their processes?
Absolutely. There were a number of competing factors, both personal and professional, that led me to wanting to pivot away from my law firm and into a new model and company, some of which had to deal with the fact that I wanted to spend more time with my family and my kids. I was feeling really burnt out from my commute and from going to court all the time. And I was really frustrated with the system that encourages conflict and inefficiencies. As you know, family law is primarily on the billable hour. And when you are responsible with it, it can be a really effective way to bill. But when you aren't, it can drag a case on forever because there's really no incentive for a lawyer to try and resolve a case cost effectively and quickly. I also had a lot of clients who were in the tech industry, so they were demanding more tech options from me, and they were much more sensitive to issues of privacy and security, and they wanted to take a more active role in their case. And the way I had set up my law firm, my operational costs were just too high to offer either non-lawyer services or basic flat fee divorces. So I was missing this whole market that I really wanted to capitalize on because people that have amicable divorces are generally a much easier client to work with. So I had to figure out how I was going to do that.
Well, what exactly is Hello Divorce, and what relationship does it have to your law firm and other law firms or lawyers?
Sure. So Hello Divorce is an online website that offers consumers legal assistance, informational products, and access to legal coaches on demand. So we have a few core values. One is that we educate consumers about the divorce process, both the procedural piece and the substantive piece, and we do it in plain English and in a way that people, I hope, can connect with. The second way that we help people through Hello Divorce is by offering assistance, non-lawyer assistance. So as an example, we have a DIY divorce web application that allows consumers to, on their own, follow guided interviews that ultimately populate their divorce forms and give them instructions on how to file and serve. If they find themselves in a place where they need legal help or they want help from someone to file and serve their documents for them, they can always click through that web application to access a lawyer through our law firm, Levine Family Law Group, or another firm that we are working with.
So I know everybody who's listening says, show me the money, Erin. So how do you bring in the green?
Yeah, so something that was really important to me was to show lawyers that even moving off the billable hour and even changing a model that for most of us was working, you can still build a sustainable model that actually makes money. It's just that you're diversifying where that money comes from. So for us, we have subscription fees. If you are using our DIY divorce navigator, you're paying $99 a month. And the average divorce takes about 6 months. So we have this passive income coming in through the subscription fees. And then we also have fixed fee or installment payments for do-it-for-you divorce options. Again, this is still not lawyers. These are divorce experts who are not lawyers, who are helping guide people through divorce and helping with their emotional concerns as they go through it. And that's a fixed fee or payment by installments. We also have affiliate relationships because, as many of your listeners know who are in family law or divorce, lawyers aren't everything in a divorce. You need an expert who can divide retirement accounts. You oftentimes need divorce therapists. You need certified divorce financial planners. There are lots of people who can help and often are a lot less expensive than lawyers. So we've developed affiliate relationships with them so that Hello Divorce can earn money with our referral partners. And then we also receive, while the lawyers that partner with Hello Divorce receive 100% of the income related to legal services, so we don't have an issue there ethically, Hello Divorce does receive a payment for any non-legal deliverables. So it's very diverse, but we definitely are able to bring in the money. And at this point, for the last 4 months, we've grown 10% month over month. So I'm really proud of that.
Well, that is an accomplishment. I tried a few divorce cases back in my time in private practice as well. So I appreciate what you're doing there. What would you say are your biggest accomplishments so far?
Well, there are a few. I think one has to do with what I mentioned a bit earlier, that sustainable model, showing lawyers the actual numbers, which is what I did at my Clio speech, to let people know that you can actually make money while making consumers happy and while addressing what they're pushing for, especially that millennial consumer: transparent pricing, connection, excellent customer service, plain English law. So that is definitely one of my biggest accomplishments. Winning the Reisman Award for Legal Innovation through Clio Award was also quite special. I think because when I started, we had a tremendous amount of haters from the legal community. People were saying that I'm taking business away from lawyers. People were saying that DIY can't work. And so I put a lot of time and focus and energy into connecting with the legal community and educating them on what I've done. And to receive such powerful and positive feedback feels like a really big accomplishment. And then saving consumers money. Last year, we quantified that we saved consumers $3 million in legal fees, and not just saving them money, because really, when we're saving them money, what we're doing is saying that we're helping to bring down their level of conflict. So I've had to clearly up my volume to earn the same or more money that I did as a law firm owner. But at the same time, I have a whole slew of people that are now able to divorce in a way that comports with their conscience, reorganize their family in a way where they don't necessarily hate their ex so they can co-parent effectively. So I think developing a model that works, not for everyone, but works to take down that level of conflict and allow people to transition to single without so much animosity is something that I'm probably most proud of.
Well, I think those are some great accomplishments, Erin. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So before we move on to our next segment, let's take a quick commercial break. Feel like your marketing efforts aren't getting you the high-value cases your firm deserves? For over 15 years, Scorpion has helped thousands of law firms just like yours attract new cases and grow their practices. As a Google Premier Partner and winner of Google's Platform Innovator Award, Scorpion has the right resources and technology to market your law firm aggressively and generate better cases from the internet. For more information, visit scorpionlegal.com/podcast. Looking for a process server you can trust? ServeNow.com is a nationwide network of local pre-screened process servers. ServeNow works with the most professional process servers in the country. Connect your firm with process servers who embrace technology, have experience with high-volume serves, and understand the litigation process and rules of properly effectuating service. Find a pre-screened process server today. Visit ServeNow.com.
Welcome back to the Digital Edge on the Legal Talk Network. Today, our subject is Law in the Age of the Customer. It's the model that matters. And our guest is Erin Levine, a certified family law specialist and the owner and managing attorney of Levine Family Law Group based in Oakland, California. She is also the founder and CEO of Hello Divorce, a modern breakup service offering legal consumers on-demand legal help and wellness support. Erin, how can small firm lawyers leverage their experience and knowledge of the consumer to earn money outside of delivering legal services in the traditional way? And I know that's what a lot of folks are thinking to themselves. So how would you answer that question?
This is one of my favorite topics. I love when lawyers take off their lawyer hats and put on their creative hats. What I say is think back to why you became a lawyer in the first place. Were you a great storyteller? Were you great at resolving disputes? Maybe on the play yard, you were able to stop fights from happening. And so someone said to you at one point, you should be a lawyer. Maybe you were a great or dynamic speaker. But think back at why you became a lawyer to begin with and what it is you enjoyed and you were good at. And that can help inform you as to the different areas that you might be able to explore and make money. So as an example, if you are a great writer, you might want to consider writing a book. That's hard to make money, but it is one option. If you are an incredible teacher, you might want to consider an online e-learning course. If you are a great storyteller, you might want to consider having more speaking opportunities. And that, of course, helps with marketing and will help bring more attention to your firm. If you are an entrepreneur and really enjoy running your business, you might want to think about packaging up that as a course, or maybe even working on productizing your services in the way of a legal application, a course like I mentioned, or some other kind of video instruction. But I think that before you decide what it is that you want to do, a really good thing to do is just to remind yourself what you're good at, why you went into law, and what you would like to do more of.
So, why is it important to establish a brand, and how do you go about doing that?
Well, anyone in the legal technology industry who has launched a product knows that you can launch the absolute best product in the world, and it will literally stand there and do nothing without a voice that people connect with, without marketing, without branding. And I think all of us are a little bit naive when we go into launching a legal technology product, especially when it's consumer focused. We think, hey, this is going to be amazing. Everyone's going to love it. It's going to take down the cost of law. It's going to make lawyers have an easier job lawyering. This is a win-win. And then you launch and you realize, well, no one knows about it and no one really cares. And maybe nobody even trusts that it's going to solve their problem. So establishing a brand is not only a way of getting the word out, it builds trust in both the legal profession, who you need by your side, and the communities that you serve. It builds interest, and it builds confidence in your product and what you're selling. So I think the biggest piece of launching after developing the product itself is establishing that brand and staying relevant.
Well, I think we've all been there, and establishing a brand is no easy thing.
Right.
But how do you see the legal consumer market changing, and what can lawyers do to stay relevant?
Oh gosh, I think that's a podcast in and of itself. I love talking on this topic because in my development of Hello Divorce, a lot of the work I did were surveys of people that were either just starting a legal action, had just concluded it, or were thinking about filing. So I really got to get into the minds of people and see what it is that they felt like they needed from a lawyer. And with those results, I would say that one thing that's really changing is that this access to information. Anyone can Google. It doesn't mean that they'll get the correct information, but there is so much information out there. And if you're smart and you're looking at reliable resources, you can oftentimes get some really good information. But having that information isn't enough. And so consumers need lawyers to help interpret it, to help problem solve, to help apply that information. And so I see us keeping a fortress behind the information that consumers need is not going to be helpful and is not going to encourage consumers to hire you. Rather, us now providing more information freely about procedure, about legal basics, well, that's going to attract more consumers and allow them to come to us when they need more nuanced help. It's also going to make a much better client because when your client is educated, it's always much easier to work with them. And one thing I'll note is that the Silicon Valley Legal Tech Network, yes, that's a thing. We just established it, headed by Sarah Schaff of HeadNote. We all just wrote an article for Attorney at Work on what we believe the legal market trends are for 2020. So check that out if you haven't already. But let me just give you one more way that the market is changing. The market loves technology and they love efficiency, but they crave human connection. We are still in a services industry and technology is not enough. So we are seeing, as you have over the last several years, a lot more integration of tech into legal practice, but there's only so far that tech goes. And ultimately, the client really does want to connect with a real live human.
Erin, as I mentioned, I did a bit of family law practice, and one thing I remember is the incredible stress of dealing with incredibly emotional people about the most important issues in their lives. And I've seen some family lawyers who've had to give it up. So aside from launching an entirely new company, what are other things lawyers can do within their own practices to avoid burnout without sacrificing their income?
Jim, I 100% relate. And I will say that one of the reasons that led to my burnout was the type of clients that we were working with. And a vast majority of them were in highly contested, really bitter, really emotional divorces. And while we like to help people through that, it certainly can't be our entire caseload because that leads to burnout. And so I think what lawyers can do is look to their messaging, look at their websites, look at the type of emails that they're sending out and the type of speeches that they're giving. In our case, we had a website that talked all about zealous advocacy, about all about getting you the best result possible. We even had a photo on our website of a child with each parent pulling an arm. And so who were we attracting? We were attracting clients that wanted to fight. If you can shift your messaging so that you're niching down into and meeting the client who you want to work with, then you are really going to help yourself from burning out. And I know it's scary. I know it's scary to niche because you think that there's this whole market of people that you're no longer connecting with. But I will tell you that at our firm, we don't have that many leads. We have far less leads than the majority of firms in our area. However, the leads that we get are quality and almost always retain. And so remember that when you are concerned about finding that niche, because when you find a niche, you're going to speak to the exact type of person that needs you and that you want to work with.
Great. Before we move on to our next segment, let's take a quick commercial break.
If you're missing calls, appointments, and potential clients, it's time to work with Nexa Professional. More than just an answering service, Nexa's virtual receptionists are available 24/7 to schedule appointments, qualify leads, respond to emails, integrate with your firm's software, and much more. Nexa ensures your clients have the experience they deserve. Give them a call at 800-267-9371 or visit them at nexa.com/podcast for a special offer. Imagine what you could do with an extra 8 hours per week. That's how much time legal professionals save with Clio, the world's leading practice management software. With intuitive time tracking, billing, and matter management, Clio streamlines everything you do to run your practice from intake to invoice. Try Clio for free and get a 10% discount for your first 6 months when you sign up with the code TDE10. Of course, you can find Clio at Clio.com. That's CLIO.com. Welcome back to the Digital Edge on the Legal Talk Network. Today, our subject is Law in the Age of the Customer. It's the model that matters. And our guest is Erin Levine, the owner and managing attorney of Levine Family Law Group and the founder and CEO of Hello Divorce. So this is a $60,000 question here, Erin. What is the biggest challenge with founding a tech company, which you obviously did very well?
Well, I think it depends on what day you ask me. Every day there are challenges. I mean, even keeping your own personal relationships up and running and in good order, because you're devoting so much time, not just in the office, but so much headspace and problem solving time towards your company. But I would say that probably the hardest part of founding our company was convincing the consumer that this is a viable alternative to the traditional status quo. And as much as consumers want to see a change to the divorce industry, they also don't necessarily want to be the first to try a change or reform. They've been burned by scams and they've heard horror stories associated with DIY divorce or DIY law. And so we really, really, really had to think about how we could bring traffic and confidence to the platform while having a low budget and in some months virtually no budget, and had to be very creative and curious as to how we could get people on board to trust our brand. So that ended up for us being a ton of content marketing, worksheets and checklists and other freebies that people could use that would not only help them plan or execute on their divorce, but get them confident that we had something that we could offer them that would be helpful.
That's interesting because I think a lot of folks listening would like to change the way their model is, but just by acknowledging the truth that it was a little precarious and you had to put in a lot of time and effort and give stuff away. I mean, this would scare some people, don't you think?
I think so. I don't think it is easy at all. And if you are thinking about wanting to change things up a little bit just because you feel burnt out, I'm hopeful that some of the other tips that I gave in the podcast that aren't nearly as challenging as building your own web application feels like something that you can implement. But another thing that people can do is they can go to hellodivorce.com and sign up for a free membership, not because they want a divorce, but just to get some ideas on how we have implemented this free content, because you don't need to do 100 worksheets a year to make an impact or to stand out from other lawyers in your community. And so feel free to download our worksheets and get my emails or unsubscribe. It won't hurt my ego, but I think that could be a good idea just to maybe get some inspiration and yeah.
Well, that's a very generous thought. So thank you for making that offer. I know some of our listeners will take you up on that. And thanks for being our guest today, Erin. You're clearly a pioneer, and it looks like you have gone westward successfully, young woman, and done very well with a model that represents, I think, what the consumers want. And that's what's driving it these days. And they want something different in a world where everything else is made easier for them by technology. They want their lawyers to make it easier for them, too. And you did a great job of describing how that might happen. So thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And that does it for this edition of the Digital Edge Lawyers and Technology. And remember, you can subscribe to all the editions of this podcast at LegalTalkNetwork.com or on Apple Podcasts. And if you enjoyed our podcast, please rate us in Apple Podcasts.
Thanks for joining us. Goodbye, Miss Sharon.
Happy trails, cowboy.
Thanks for listening to The Digital Edge, produced by the broadcast professionals at Legal Talk Network. Join Sharon Nelson and Jim Calloway for their next podcast covering the latest topic related to lawyers and technology. Subscribe to the RSS feed on LegalTalkNetwork.com or in iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.